Hi, I'm Nancy Abrams. Jim and I had started the Charlie Foundation back in '93 when our son Charlie, who was born in '92, had his first seizure. He went into drop seizures, and he had grand mal seizures, and we took him to the neurologist, who then put him on phenobarbital and a ton of other drugs, and he was stable for about a week or 2 weeks or 6 weeks, and then we would have to try another drug, and they would add a drug, and so we did that for till Jim went to the library of the medical libraries and found out what Charlie's condition was called Lennox-Gastaut syndrome, and next to L was K, was the ketogenic diet in the medical books. And we had found out about the ketogenic diet and were looking around to see where to go. We ended up in Johns Hopkins with John, and Charlie went there. He was on about 5 or 6 drugs, and John pulled them in 3 days. We put Charlie into ketosis within 3 days. He was very little, and he stopped seizing within those 3 days and was off medications by the end of that week. Charlie had had a brain surgery where they went in because they said that he might have had fluid in the left ventricle of his brain. And during that time, he had not had any food, and he did stop seizing during that period. So he may have been in ketosis when he had that brain surgery, and we didn't know it. We had gone through 8 neurologists, and not one of them had ever mentioned the diet. And the only one to ever benefit is the patient, so they never really told you too much about it, and they always had said that the diet was too much work. They didn't realize how hard it is to sit and watch your kid be sick as opposed to what you could feed him. So after Baltimore, we came home and we put Charlie on the diet. At that time, the food was very pure. There was no ketogenic diet foods. We had no computers. We had to fax back and forth with Mrs. Kelly from Johns Hopkins. And I would wander around the markets and try to find foods, and it was pretty much, 22 grams of rice with olive oil, cream, and a little bit of chicken. Charlie stayed on the diet for 5 years. We tried to get him off once, and he failed, and we put him back on. And he's been great since. He's 33. He's a preschool teacher. He lives independently with a roommate, and he's really happy. He's the happiest, I think, of all my kids. Well, now, you walk into a supermarket, and there's everything keto. And it's all for whether it's muscles or weight loss. It's just been so advertised. And a lot of times you come to symposiums and you see all this food and that has this aftertaste, and it's all product. And when you think of the diet and they say it's so expensive, then it's just really what you're eating. If you can just plan your meals, mostly that's, I think, plan should go along with ketogenic, but and it doesn't have to be so complicated or so advertised. And now with all the research and what they're doing, especially with the mental health, it's phenomenal, and it's wonderful that they have all these symposiums. And a lot of these people that I've run into are parents of kids who have these disabilities, who are doing it from the heart and not so much from the pocket, which a lot of people you run into with the ketogenic diet and all these, foods that they have, that's where they're coming from. And it's a little bit frustrating to see so many people making money on it when, it's wonderful to see what it can do for people like Charlie, But we're very lucky that he's done so well as part of the Charlie Foundation too, we did send 43 dietitians to this conference. And I think to get, it's not something you can just do yourself, and it has to be implemented with help. And I think having these dietitians who work so hard and can come in, and a lot of these are by Zoom. You don't even have to be in the hospital, or you can do this all at home. It's not hard. It's not that complicated. And I think that if everybody could just, take the time to really know and to learn the basics of it, and that you can just go to the market and get the food, and it doesn't have to be so advertised. But these dietitians like Beth that work with them have just been amazing. And these studies that they've had are just amazing. But I just see that if everybody could try to understand that it's not so complicated. After Charlie started the diet, I don't think we really saw the neurologist except every now and then to have an EEG. Mostly when Charlie was on it, there was no computer or anything, no keto calculators or none of that. We would fax back and forth with Mrs. Kelly from Baltimore, and she would change the menus and flip things around. But it really is, it really was like it was just easy. And the dietitians were the ones that took on. I mean, they have 35 kids at a time that they're just overwhelmed. And I don't even know how much the neurologist knows, about the diet, the specifics, as much as these dietitians are just amazing. There are kids that are 6 years old that are starting the diet and having having good outcomes. And there's a woman we spoke to, she's dealing from kids from 6 to 17, and they've started the diet and they're doing really well. But it is all down to getting the right help and getting these, dietitians educated and educating the public. They really need to know. I think everybody can benefit from it, even if you don't have any kind of an illness. Per se, I just think it's just a healthier way of eating. You talk to anybody and how much sugar can contribute to downfall or exhaustion or just being depressed or overweight, just having a better health conscious attitude. I think the diet, if everybody was more aware of what you're eating and what you're putting, you are what you eat, that even today they had all that sugar, and you think, I'm not saying don't touch it, but, to moderate yourself. I think I can see that the diet could be just beneficial for everybody to be more conscious.